So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sir Raymond. Um, we are here to discuss about the agriculture and government accounting. So the reason why there is an agriculture and the government accounting because some of the program in government sector are more into agriculture, and there are also several agency attaches to it, such as mga Department of Agriculture and the Philippine Rice and the Philmec. And at the end of our discussion, we will be able to learn to distinguish the difference between the biological assets, agricultural produce, and inventory. We are going also to state the initial and subsequent measurement of biological assets and agricultural produce.
Agriculture. Agriculture is a farming or the process of producing crops and raising livestock. So we all know about agriculture, like planting rice and trees and raising livestock like chickens and pigs. Agricultural activity, it refers to management by an entity of the biological transformation and harvest of biological asset for sale or for conversion into agricultural produce or additional biological assets. In technical terms, when we talk about agriculture activity, it refers to like let's say for example like sa plants. Ang sa plants kaya ang ilang management by entity kay pag-cultivate, pag-fertilize o pagbubo sa plants and for animals, let's say raising those livestocks, giving vaccination for them to transform or to grow. Mao ni ang management by the entity with regards to biological transformation. Next, next is the biological asset. Biological asset is a living animal or a plant like trees and chickens and pigs. So, but not all living animal or plant is a biological asset. It is matawag ka sila og biological asset kung gigamit sila pag agricultural activity. Agricultural produce harvested product of the entity's biological asset. So, ang agricultural produce kay mao ni mga na-harvest na product through biological asset like mga fruits, mao na ang agricultural produce. Harvest, the detachment of produce from a biological asset or the cessation of a biological asset type process. So, ang harvest, mao ni ang process from gikan sa biological asset to agricultural produce. So, mao na ang gitawag na harvest. So, we have example here so for this tree. So, makita ninyo sa example kay naay punuan sa mangga. Tas napoy bunga sa mangga. So, ang punuan sa mangga mo na ang bear plant mango trees. Tas ang makita niya ang bunga sa mangga na. Produce and harvested fruits biological assets. So, ang bunga sa mangga kay wala pa na-harvest so dili na siya matawag og agricultural produce kay wala pa siya na-detach sa mango tree. So, kung ma-detach na siya kay tawag niya kay agricultural produce like kanang giawiran ng sa makita sa example na ng tao. Tas ang agricultural produce kay mahimo na siyang inventories for sale kay ibaligya man yun dyan kung dili na mo ibaligya ang agricultural produce kay di na siya matawag og agricultural activity. And makita po niya sa example kay naay baka. So ang baka kay biological asset po na siya kay mag-produce po na siya og milk or meat gikan niya sa and mangutana mo sa land. Kung sa land, di na siya biological asset kay ang land kay is not part of agriculture. It is part of property, plant, and equipment. Bahala pag gamit na siya for farming or for raising livestock. This is another example for biological asset, agricultural produce, and inventories or processed products. So, first is our biological asset is a pig. So, ang pig kay mag-produce na siya og meat like carcass. So, pag after producing meat, so i-process na meat into ham. So, mao na siya mabaligya sa mga market. So, next is the sheep. So, biological as sheep, biological asset ng sheep kay mag-produce sa og wool like yang panit. Tas ang panit nimo nog carpet. So, mao na ang inventories product na mabaligya sa mga market. And lastly, we have grapevine biological asset, and it produces big grapes, and after processing it produces wine. So that's a product for sale. And this is some example of agricultural a biological asset, agricultural produce, and product that are the result of processing after harvest inventory, like plants, dairy cattle, sheep, pigs, bushes, vine trees, fruits, trees. So the following are the common features of agricultural activities. First is capability to change. When we say capability to change, living animals and plants are capable of biological transformation. So we all know over time magkadako man jud ang mga animals and and mo improve ang ilang mga quality. And later on i-discuss na to tarong na ang biological transformation. Next is the management of change. Management facilitates biological transformation by enhancing or at least stabilizing conditions necessary for the process to take place. Such management distinguishes agricultural activity from other activities. For example, the company has a farming like piggery. So, ang management facilitates biological transformation na kay kanang pag-feed sa mga baboy or pag-injection like, and provide proper lighting and proper ventilation sa mga animals. So so that's management of change. We manage and facilitates the biological transformation of these living plants and animals. Last is the measurement of change. The change in quality or quantity brought about biological transformation or harvest is measured and monitored as a routine management function. So when we talk about management of change, it refers to the changes in quality or quantity which is brought about by a biological transformation. The companies are monitoring og nidako na ba ang ilang mga animals og ni-improve na ba ang mga plants nila or nag-produce bagtarong og ang ilang mga animals sa ilang mga agricultural produce. So we need to measure and monitor that change brought by biological transformation. Biological transformation comprises the following process that cause qualitative and quantitative changes in a biological asset. So this is the outcomes of the biological transformation na atong gina-manage. So of course that a particular animals or plants will grow or it would be degenerate. So over time mo grow man jud ng animals or plants, and over time pod magamay ilang quantity o maot ilang quality. So and also they can create another animal or another plant. So ang mga for example ang mga baboy mga anak man yun na sila. So they can create another agricultural produce. Cut na niya. Also, when we talk, the outcome also connotes production of agricultural produce. We manage to give them nutrients because we want them to produce, which we would be able to use for selling or even for future in the future. For example, like maganak ang baboy, so ato na silang image para padakon or pwede pa nato sila ibaligya in the future.
Done with explaining all about the definition of the biological asset, agricultural produce, and even right after sa harvesting, which is create an inventory. So in here, we are going to know what are the recognitions of biological asset in biological asset or agricultural produce. So based on the definition itself, a biological assets or agricultural produce is recognized when it meets the asset recognition criteria, and also it includes the reliable measurement of its fair value or cost. So just like any other assets nga same ra sila criteria bitaw nga first the entity has the controls of the asset or over of that asset as a result of past events. So naa siya'y control o it will be controlled for that particular asset as a result of past events. Second, there should be a probability that future economic benefits which are associated in this asset will flow to the entity. So dapat probable, dili siya possible. And third, also ang fair value or cost of the asset can be measured reliably. So again, there are four, including this one, the reliable measurement of its fair value or cost. So again, there are four important criteria in recognizing the biological asset. First, the entity should have the control over it. Second, it should be probable that there is a future economic benefit. And third, the cost or the fair value can be measurable. Now, after we have met the recognition criteria of the biological asset, the next question is, by how much are we going to record them? So that will be based on the measurement. But generally, ang measurement dyan sa biological asset are initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. But at the initial point of the period, pwede man gud nga ang biological asset is measured at carrying amount or cost kay at the initial point sa period kay namoy tendency nga dili determinable bitaw iyahang value sa biological asset sa animals or sa plants. That's why pwede siya ma-measured as carrying amount or cost. So now let's talk about the initial measurement of this biological asset. In accordance to the accounting standard, the biological asset shall be measured initially at its fair value less cost to sell. So ang initial recognition sa ana niya kay fair value less cost to sell. When we talk about fair value less cost to sell, it refers to the active market. So kung unsa bitay fair value sa active market, then ay ang cost to sell kay this is the incremental cost directly attributable in disposal of it. So when can we say nga na ay active market? So based on the slides, there are three conditions nga ma-met. First, ang item sa market dapat homogeneous. Second, there is willing buyers and sellers can normally be found at any time and the price are available to the public. So homogeneous pareha na ay mga willing buyers and sellers nga makita na to sa market anytime and ang price sad kay available sa publiko. So kaya kaya ang initial and subsequent measurement kay pareha man nga measured at fair value less cost to sell unless if ang initial measurement is dili siya determinable, therefore pwede po nato magamit ang pag-measure sa carrying amount o sa cost. So if if quoted market price are not available and for which alternative fair value measurement are unreliable, that biological asset shall be measured at its cost less any accumulated depreciation and any accumulated impairment losses. So if in case nga there is no market prices available, meaning there is no available nga fair value measurement, or kung walay available nga fair market value and there is an alternative fair value measurement pero somehow unreliable siya, again, di ba ang initial nga first priority is it should be measured at fair value less cost to sell. But if in case lang nga walay available market or yung ang alternative nga fair value measurement is unreliable, then what are we going to use? What are we going to use? So we're going to use the cost less any accumulated depreciations and any accumulated impairment losses. Namoy possibility nga ang quotation sa market is not available or unreliable bitaw sa ang iyahang fair market value. And how are going to determine it nga not dili siya available? So it would be based on the observation of the market and also sa fair value. However, once nga reliable na ang fair value measurement, So the entity shall measure it at its fair value less cost to sell. Pag available na, reliable na siya, then pwede na ito mabalik, pwede na mabalik sa fair value less cost to sell. Since, since that should be the ultimate value for these biological assets. Now, when we talk about agricultural produce, this is the harvested from an entity's biological assets shall be measured at its fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. So, agricultural produce harvested from an entity's biological assets shall be measured at its fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Di ba, one of the sources of the inventory sa ato ang sa inventory is or are the harvested products. Di ba ang harvested agricultural produce at giingon dito nga ang cost ng inventory would be the fair value less cost to sell sa katong agriculture produce at the point of harvest. So mo ni that any harvest agricultural produce should be recorded as cost. Kung kay mao man na ang nasa inventory pero ang cost niya like for example ang mangga na munga. Pag namunga ang mangga, di ba wala man na nimo gipalit or gi-acquire. So, but rather you have harvested it from your bare plants. So, again, ang magiging cost ana sa imong inventory kay it should be the fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Okay. So, how are you going to measure after na sa initial recognitions or sa subsequent measurement? Biological asset should be measured at the end of each reporting period at its fair value less cost to sell. This fair value is referring to the price in an active market, which is the best basis of the asset's fair value. So same na sila, no? So again, what is active market? In accordance with the standard, it defines that the active market is referring to a market that transactions of asset and liability takes place with sufficient frequency and volume to provide information on an ongoing basis. So diha pa lang nahitabo ang transactions about sa asset or even sa liability. So that's the active market. So mao na ang fair value nga the price and the active market is the best assets fair value. Balik lang to ha. Ang cost to sell, when we say cost to sell, it refers to the incremental cost directly attributable to the disposal of an asset, but it excludes ang katong mga finance costs o like interest and also katong mga income taxes. But this cost to sell in disposing of an asset includes only costs that are incurred without moving them to the market. So, kanang nagasto nimo upon transporting or moving the product from the place kung asa ato siya gina-harvest going to the market is not considered as cost to sell. Kanang transport cost of getting the asset to a market is not part of the cost to sell. So what are the example there sa cost to sell? Levied nga mga taxes is different also sa income taxes. Ang levied or levied taxes by taxing authority, example na tax na imong ginabayad bitaw sa pagbaligya or selling it. While an income taxes kay more on sa corporate na tax or even sa personal income tax na referring to. That's the difference. And also, transport taxes at pwede sad nga sa animal, pwede i-transfer or gibaligya siya. So you transfer one asset to another and you need to pay taxes but that is not an income tax. So ang punto lang ani, it is not included those costs of getting it to the market like transport costs. So dili siya appeal sa cost to sell but rather pwede na siya like in determining the fair value, apelon na siya quoted active market or price market minus less transport cost equals fair value. But later on, ma-discuss na nato ang determination on fair value. So, here, 'di ba, since fair value is also part of recognizing the biological assets, what are those items nga pwede na to siya ma-determine ang iyang fair value? So, one of the usable lang nga pag-determine sa fair value is kaning sa letter A nga. Fair value is determined as follows nga in getting the fair value, we have to have our quoted price in an active market less transport cost is equal to fair value. Next is that the determination of fair value may be facilitated by grouping biological assets or agricultural produce according to the significant attributes. C, cost may sometimes approximate fair value, particularly when um, little biological transformation has taken place since initial cost incurrence. And second is the impact of the biological transformation on price is not expected to be material. But one common thing lang sa pagdetermine sa fair value sa biological assets is usually jud ang katong sa A. And sa D, biological asset attached to land may not have a separate market but an active market may exist for the combined assets. In such case, the fair value of the raw land and land improvements may be deducted from the fair value of the combined assets to arrive at the fair value of the biological assets. For example, ang bare plants, ang plants attaches to the land is, di ba, ang land is part of PPA. So therefore, dili siya pwede nga apilon sa pag-determine sa fair value sa biological asset because lahi ang standard na ginagamit sa land which is ang PPA nga accounting standard. So therefore, para makuha ito ang fair value sa biological asset, we have to deduct the land itself sa ato ang pag-determine sa fair value sa biological assets. Kaya lahi standard ang gamit sa PPA. So, sa letter E, a biological asset that is previously measured at fair value less cost to sell shall be measured at fair value less cost to sell until it is disposed. So, pagbalik na siya. So, part of our discussion is to know if naka-gain ba ang biological assets or ang entity or nagka-gain or nagka-incur sa losses. This is related to the biological asset measurement. So we'll have recorded them initially and subsequently at fair values, right? So gain or losses on the measurement of biological assets may arise due to the following circumstances. So first, purchase of a biological asset at fair value less cost to sell. Under this one is under this one are the purchase price plus transaction cost is greater than the fair value less cost to sell. So maka-incur tag loss on initial recognitions, while on the other hand, purchase price plus transaction cost is less than sa fair value less cost to sell. So maka-incur sa gain on initial recognitions. So gain on the measurement of if we purchase a biological asset at fair value less cost to sell and the purchase price is different from our fair value less cost to sell, as you can see here, ang purchase price is muna ang atong amount na atong gipalit, di ba? I-purchase. Plus the transaction cost is in buying that asset. If greater than na siya sa atong fair value, less cost to sell, therefore maka-incur tag loss on initial recognition. So possible ba na siya nga mas taas ang atong gibayad kaysa sa atong fair value less cost to sell? So yes, pwede siya kay basin gusto jud nimo nga paliton bitaw, and that would be a loss on initial recognition. There will be a loss because we will just be recorded the biological asset as fair value less cost to sell, pero ang gibayad nato sa in acquiring biological asset is mas taas pa siya kaysa sa fair value less cost to sell. So on the other hand, purchase price plus transaction cost may be less than the fair value less cost to sell. So in that case, naana tayo maka-incur na ta gain on initial recognition itself. So moreover, gain or loss related to biological asset may arise either sa fair value less cost to sell at the change of physical change. So sa pagdako bitaw 'di ba, one of the biological transformation is ang growth. So from newborn, then um at the period in time is mo magkadako bitaw ang let's say ang animals or ang plants mo grow siya or even ang plants. So can be attributable to an increase in fair value less cost to sell. That would be considered as either a gain or loss in si- even some price changes. So muna siya like later on magamit na siya when we are going to have our illustration. Sa physical change on fair value change on fair value less cost sell sa physical change and sa price change. And also, moreover, gain or loss or over could arise on newborn animals. So let's say, for example, nanganak ang baka, di ba, you didn't particularly buy that baby cow. Kay newborn animal would be considered as biological asset kay nanganak, meaning wala ka nagpagawa sa kwarta and nanganak siya. Therefore, that would be considered as gain for us kay wala makagigasto kay nanganak ra man na siya. Then next is the initial recognition of an agricultural produce, 'di ba, from a tree na namunga tapos na na value ang iyang pag-agricultural produce, then that would be considered as a gain. So, and also there will be a losses as well related to the result of harvesting. So that's the valuation of our biological asset, whether initial or subsequent measurement, basta active ang market and the quotation sa fair value are reliable, should be recorded as fair value less cost to sell. So here is the example that we could apply when we understand lately. So the first transaction or the first sentence, entity A purchased 5 breeding stocks at 3,000 each, equal to the fair value less cost to sell at the acquisition date. So the journal entry is as follows. So di ba ang nahitabo ani nga transaction is nipalit ang entity og 5 ka buok breeding stock for 3,000 each. So how are we going to how to entry this one in a journal So di ba nakadawat matag breeding stock. So ang breeding stock is sagam na diri lang tawon kung unsa pa ang mga biological asset na gi-provide bitaw. So breeding stock ato na dawat, therefore debit na siya worth 15,000. 15,000 times 5, 3,000 each muna siya. So that's a total of 15,000. Then less o cash in bank kanang paggawas makagwarta kay since you purchase it man. So we credited one cash in bank 15,000. So on the following date, there were 10 breeding stocks nga na nanganak or nabuhi are born. The fair value less cost to sell on date of birth is 2,000 each. So ang journal entry ani is kani nasa boss. 'Di ba again diri nga transaction is nanganak man siya, therefore wala ta nang purchase, wala ta ni acquire, but here ang nahitabo ni is nanganak siya. So therefore sa tumadawat, which is mao na ang breeding stock, but we will recognize that one as gain kay wala man ta napagawas og kwarta, so we will credit that one as gain on initial recognition of biological assets. That will be 20,000. 2,000 times 10, that's 20,000. So one of the following there are following items that we need to disclose in the agriculture. So, di ba, the following are the peculiar disclosure related to agriculture. So first, we have to disclose the aggregate gain or loss on initial recognition and the change in fair value uh, cost to sell or fair value less cost to sell. So, di ba, one of the items that we need to disclose is ang pag-aggregate at the end of the reporting period, we are going to get the gain or loss sa initial o sa fair value less cost to sell. And also, consumable and bare biological assets. So, when can we say nga consumable siya or when can consumable biological asset and when can we say nga bare biological asset siya? So, let's say for example, ang baka, like a cow, 'di ba, dual use mo na siya. Pwede na to siya nga maka-produce ta og gatas or pwede sa maka-produce og karne or ato siyang katayon, 'di ba, mahimo siyang meat. Pero if ang purpose entity is pag-harvest lang sa pagkuha bitaw sa gatas, that would be a very biological asset because the biological asset mismo itself is still there, bitaw remains. Naara gyapon dira pero naka-produce gyapon siya. While if atuwa na siyang himuon nga lang lobat. Ha? Laso lang. Ha? Ay naku, sulbing. Oh. Ay. So, 'di ba, as what I said, sige. So, the next one will be the mature and immature biological asset. So, when can we say also nga ang biological asset is mature na? When can we say nga immature na siya? If mature meaning pwede na siya ma-harvest. If immature, dili pa siya pwede ma-harvest. Then, next is amount of change in fair value less cost to sell due to physical change and due to price changes. So, 'di ba, apply na siya sa pag-disclose sa tuwang agriculture and government accounting ang changes mismo sa physical o sa price. So, in knowing kung pila iyang price change, kung pila pa iyang physical change, we will use this formula. So, in the fair value less cost to sell due to price change, we will use this formula nga at the fair value less cost to sell at the end, but ang iyahang edad or ang age mismo sa biological asset is from the beginning. I mean, at the beginning. Then less fair value less cost to sell at the beginning, which is ang age niya kay beginning sad. Dayon, we will going to multiply that one with our quantity kung pila ka bulk breeding stocks or pila ka bulk biological asset. While on the other hand, physical change is ang fair value less cost to sell, ang ending niya, which is ang edad niya is ending sad. Less fair value less cost to sell and age beginning times quantity plus fair value less cost to sell of newborn at the date of birth. So meaning we are looking for the changes mo god. So dapat appeal ang mga newborn. Unless po din siya if ay mamatay or cause to dispose bitaw. Now that we have already know the formula of how we're going to get the fair value less cost to sell the change in fair value less cost to sell due to physical change and price change. So we will apply that in our illustration. On January 1 to X1, entity A has 5 with 2-year-old breeding stocks. Then the following transactions occur during the period. And letter A, on July 1, 2021, 10 breeding stocks were born. On July 1, 20X1, 2-year-old breeding stocks were purchased. On December 31, 20X1, 3 breeding stocks were born. And the following table here, as you can see, makita na to kung pila ila mga price each. Kaning 25,000, lisa na siya 5,000 kay 25,000 ang accumulated nga total sa 10 breeding stocks bitaw nga 5,000 each, so 5,000 na siya. So the requirement A, we have to compute for the changes in fair value less cost to sell due to price change. So to make it easier to understand, just simply use this kuan na logic I think nga same age different date. So from the beginning, from the beginning, 'di ba sa January 1, 2021 na ang entity na ay 5 ka breeding stock nag-edad og duha ka tuig. So tanawon nato sa table on January 1 nagkantidad siya og 5,000 ni siya dayon in the 5,000. And then at the point of reference which is December 31, 2021, this is the reporting date or the end of reporting period. As you can see ning taas ang value sa breeding stock kay 'di ba one of the biological transformation is the capability to grow or change. Muna nga ang from the initial point sa breeding stock if like dako na ang kuan ang animals or plants therefore mausab ay iyahang value sa at the point of reference which is December 31, 20x1. So 5,200 deduct it to our 5,000 initial point times it to I multiply it to our number of biological assets. So that's 5. Then we can get the 1,000. On the following transactions, we have July 1, 20x1, 10 breeding stock were born. So since nanganak man siya or let's say ang were born is a newborn, quoted as newborn, therefore ayahang on July 1, 20x1 nagkatid siya og 2,000. And then on the subsequent nga period, mausab siya into 2,100 so ni-increase. And then what we're going to do is to deduct this 2,100 minus 2,000 to get the difference and then multiply it to our quantity nga 10 breeding stocks. So mao na makakuha tag 1,000. On the following transaction, letter B, nahitabo diri is nag-purchase ang entity og duha ka buok breeding stock nag-edad og 2-year-old. So on July 1, di ba? On July 1, tanaw na to sa table, 2 years old man ang duha ka buok nga breeding stock, therefore 5,100 ay ang price each. And then on the following date, at the point of reference, nahimo siyang 5,200. So i-minus na siya, therefore nakakuha ta og 100 I guess or basta i-minus na siya and then multiply it sa tuang number of breeding stocks to 2. So makakuha tag 200. And then on board, there is also sa transaction on December 31, 20x1 nga tulo ka buok breeding stocks nga nanganak. So so nagkanidad siya 2,100 and at some point dira pud nato siya gamiton ang ato ang value at point of reference which is 2,100 mo makakuha tag 0 kay wala siya ni kausaban kay December naman niya transactions. Then ang point of reference pud ato kay at the reporting date, at the end of reporting date man. So makakuha tag 0 times 3 0 gyapon. So to sum it all up, makakuha tag 2,200 nga changes sa fair value less cost to sell. Same also sa to compute for the changes in fair value less cost to sell due to physical change. However, ang iya lang like logic lang niya nga kuan is different age but same date. So in here ang ato nang basihan nga value is ato ang point of reference which is at the end of the reporting period. Then ibangga na to siya ang ihang different age na dayon. So sa January 1 sa beginning transactions na siya 5 ka buok nga breeding stock nag-edad og 2-year-old. So pag abot ang nagkuan December 31, 2021, mahimo na siyang 3 years old. So from 5,200 mahimo na siyang 5,700. We are going to get the difference and then multiply it to pila ang iyang quantity. So that's 2 pi. Then the following na dayon is the same on getting their changes in fair value less cost to sell. But the only difference here in computing the due to physical change is ang mga newborn which is ato ang add na to sila i-appel na to na siya og um add kay analysis mo gud ani kay we're going to get the changes mo gud. So i-add na to ang newborn from the subsequent as the from the initial point to the subsequent measurement. So that's why i-add siya then i-list po na to if na ay mga cost to dispose like mamatay na ay mamatay nga mga breeding stock. So i-deduct lang po nato siya. So mo na siya makakuha tag 29,700. So to journalize this one, we will we will debit the biological assets worth 2,200 sa price change, less gain from fair value, less cost to sell due to price change worth 2,200. Same also sa physical change, but ilisa na to gain from fair value less cost to sell due to physical change. So um So to sum it all up, we have summary provided wherein biological asset is a living animal or plant. Second, agricultural produce is the harvested products of the entity biological assets and agricultural produce subjected to post-harvested processing is inventory. Third is biological assets are initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. Gain or loss arising from measurement are recognized in surplus or deficit. Agricultural produce is initially measured at fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Second to last is first value is equal to quoted price in an active market less transport cost, and if there are more than one market entities, the entity shall use the price in the market expected to be used. So that would be all for our discussions, and thank you for listening.